there, my name is Janaki.
And this is Madame Bathsheba.
And together we are Catamancy Tarot. Welcome folks. Today I have a special video about a new mass market deck and I'm really excited to share it with you guys. If you're new here, my name is Janaki and I'm an anthropologist at the University of Michigan, and I'm currently working on my dissertation project, which is a project that looks at global practices around tarot reading. I focus on tarot reading practices in Los Angeles, California, as well as Mumbai, India. So I'm broadly interested in the contemporary tarot reading practices across the globe and the way people are kind of making connections through tarot. And so on that note, I'm really excited about this deck I'm going to show you. This deck, it's called Trickster's Journey, and it's by Jia Sung. And it was just released earlier this week as a mass market deck put out by Hachette. And I'm so excited about this one. I first came across Jia's work several years ago. I think she first created the majors from this deck as a separate project. And those were originally printed as just a majors only limited print run, and they were produced using a risograph printer, which is a really cool old technique. And as soon as I saw those images, I kind of fell in love. They're gorgeous images. And I just realized that she got picked up by a mass market publisher, and now her works are kind of broadly available. And I'm so excited about it, and I think you will be too. In the link in the description, I'm also going to link to her Instagram profile, where she posted a really awesome interview with the creator as a part of the the release party for this deck, and there was a cool Q&A. And so some of the things that I'll talk you guys through this deck, that's where I heard that from, so I'll link that below. But for now, let's go ahead and open this guy up. All right, here we are. So this is the Trickster's Journey. It comes in this sturdy box with a magnetic closure. And on the inside, you'll find the guidebook, which is very cute. And you'll also find the cards, which come in this tuck box. So I love this tuck box, and I'll probably just be using this and the guidebook, and I won't use the big box, but it was a nice home for these guys to travel with. And pictured here, you will see Monkey. As we'll get into soon, Monkey is the protagonist of this story and this tarot deck, and she's done some really interesting things with Monkey as the figure of the trickster. And the way she's kind of reinterpreted Monkey for contemporary times, I think, is just absolutely beautiful. This image here is Monkey and the World card. So this is the story of Monkey's journey to enlightenment, and this World card represents enlightened Monkey. It's so cute. It's so good. It's so good. So opening up the guidebook, it begins with a really beautifully written introduction, all by the author, a little bit about the creation and the use of the deck, and then it just jumps right into giving 1 page per card. It's a really well done guidebook. So in the introduction, she lays out her inspiration for this deck, which was a 16th century Chinese novel called Journey to the West. And in this novel, it's kind of this, she talks about how it's kind of like a comedic travelogue. It's got a lot of like folkloric tropes. There's a lot of religious allegory, and it's also kind of this like spiked, poking fun of, ancient bureaucracy and authority figures. And so she's taken up the story and used it to kind of reinterpret. It's a contemporary reinterpretation of this story, which I think is so cool and so beautiful. I'm just going to read a little bit here because I think it's an important part of the deck. She says a key change to tradition in this deck is the renaming of card 0, the protagonist of this deck's symbolic journey from fool to trickster. After all, a trickster may be a fool, but a fool is not always a trickster, for the trickster contains multitudes. Their capacity for many faces and many traits, idiocy and wisdom, detachment and devotion, wit and somberness, is what sets them apart from other monsters striving for evolution. It is what aligns the trickster with humanity. The trickster is liminal and ambiguous, but always ultimately sympathetic. We see echoes of ourselves in the complex contradictions of the trickster, moments of short-sightedness and impulse that coexist alongside flashes of ingenuity and wit. I've always been drawn to the trickster's archetype, inherently anti-establishment traits. The trickster, in their journey towards enlightenment and self-actualization, pushes back against authority. Their gleeful skepticism forces us to question the systems we exist in as they are learning to navigate them. Their very presence in myth and folklore is a catalyst for change and disruption, but is just as often that they are the vessel for solutions. And she goes on, and but I thought that was really beautifully written and quite inspiring. And she goes on to talk about how in the creation of this deck is kind of really a love letter to the Asian diasporic community, which I thought was really quite lovely. And the last bit that I thought was awesome is on Monkey. So Monkey is, of course, our protagonist here, our trickster. And she talks about here that you'll notice that Monkey is referred to by they, them pronouns as monkey rather than the traditional gendered monkey king, which I thought is really awesome. She says, my re-envisioning of monkey therefore casts them as inherently gender nonconforming or femme. For an ancient rebel willing to war with heaven and piss on Buddha's hand, what is gender but another hierarchy to be overturned? So, really so great. I can't think of another like queer Buddhist deck out there. And the fact that this is mass market is just major. It's so good. And so before I show you the cards, I'll show you the layout for the guidebook. So for each of the cards, starting with the majors, you get just a full page color illustration, and then you get a little bit about the meaning, upright, reversed, and then you also get the section called About the Art, which for tarot readers, this is the stuff we love to see because it actually, it'll say who is depicted, it makes references. So if you're curious and you want to learn more, it's a really great way to do it. Also, she has quotes, which I assume are from A Journey to the West, which is the story of, Monkey and following this monk journey from China to India, to the source of Buddhism, to bring back the teachings. So throughout the major arcana, there's this arc where you're following Monkey, the trickster, meeting all of these different characters throughout the arc, and sometimes they'll even narrate, as in here, Monkey's very first mentor on their journey is an accomplished Taoist. So, it really brings the folklore to life. And I think for those who this story is very familiar, I think the stories will really come to life, but there's enough information here where if you're not really familiar with the folklore, there's enough information to really follow along. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the cards, starting with the majors. The cards come in this tuck box, and it's on really sturdy cardstock. These are the backs. It's kind of a thick deck, but it's really nice cardstock. And so here we are with our Trickster, our queer femme Trickster monkey, and their dog. And I'll just take you through the majors. We have the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, Hierophant, Lovers, Chariot. This, I have to say, I saw this image years ago, and I think it's one of my all-time favorite Chariot cards. I think it's so beautiful. We're in a Chariot year. Strength, Hermit, Wheel, Justice, Hanged One. Here we have Monkey again. Another note about Monkey, Jia Sung, the creator of this deck, her Chinese zodiac sign is the monkey, and it's mine too, guys. So that feels very appropriate for this deck. We have Death holding Monkey's skull. We have Temperance, Devil, Tower, Star, Moon, Sun, Judgment. We have our Buddha here. And then finally, we have our monkey achieving enlightenment. It's so good. It's so beautiful. I love it so much. And so those are the majors. And now we're getting into the minors. And so the minors are, they're done in a little bit of a Pippish style. I'll go ahead and I'll show you guys the suits. So each of the suits kind of have their own rulers in the animal kingdom, and their own sort of limited color palette. So let me kind of, let's zoom you out so you can see all of these guys. So if we take a look back in our guidebook, with the minor arcana, so the cups as the element of water, and the symbols and the associations are black tortoise of the north. So all the suits are based on traditional Chinese constellations and the cardinal directions. So they all have some very specific symbolic meanings. So each of the suits is ruled by different guardians. So the guardian of the cup suit, if we take a look here, the guardian of the cups suit is going to be black tortoise. So the queen and king are the guardians of each suit, and all of the critters in the rest of the suit are different members of this aquatic kingdom. The ruler of the coins is blue dragon. So we have our dragon guardians here. And that direction is the blue dragon of the east. And then for the suit of wands, we have the birds. And at first you might be thinking, birds, that should be air, right? But the guardians of this suit are the phoenixes, so they're firebirds. So this is the suit of fire, which makes total sense to me. And then for the suit of swords, we have the white tiger of the west, the element of air. So here we have our white tiger guardians of this suit. And I think she mentions in the guidebook that tigers are associated with the element of metal. So it makes, again, total sense that the suit of cats would be swords. So I'll go ahead and take you through each of the suits so you can see all the cards. And this, as I mentioned, is a little bit of a pip deck. But I love pip decks. I love pip decks so much, and I think this is a really beautiful example. So for the Minor Arcana, you do get this little bit of a table if you like to read the minors more numerically. But you also, for each of them, you do get kind of more of a meaning. So if you're newer to tarot and you're not super confident about reading reading pip decks, there's plenty in this guidebook, so I wouldn't be intimidated by it. So here we go. This is the Kingdom of the Black Tortoise. So we have our frog in our Ace of Cups. This little frog who just wants some love. Oh, it's so cute. Two of Cups, we have eels. And for me, I love this card because do you ever, go on a first date with someone, or you're meeting someone who you have a crush with, and inside your stomach, you just have these roiling eels? For me, that totally encapsulates that kind of emotional embodied experience, and I love these eels. Then we have the Three of Cups, the Four of Cups, Five of Cups, Six of Cups, the Seven of Cups, Eight of Cups, Nine of Cups. We have our turtle at 10. And then all of the pages in all of the suits are animal-human hybrids, which I love. So we get this like snake person here. So good, so beautiful. I think the pages are some of my favorites in this deck. I think the pages are really well done. And then all of the knights in this deck, you have human figures riding animals. And then, as I mentioned already, the queen and king are going to be the guardians of that suit. So here's our couple here, which I just love. So moving on to the coins, which is ruled by the blue dragon, we get a lot of different reptiles and amphibians, or just reptiles. The last suit we had some amphibians. So here we have our Two of Coins, our Three of Coins, and a fun fact about this card that I learned from watching the interview that I already mentioned is that pictured here are a pair of New Mexican whiptail lizards. Whiptail lizards are an all-female species that reproduce asexually through parthenogenesis. So they're known as the lesbian lizard. So there's even like queer reptiles in this deck. It's so good. And she also notes sometimes there'll be Chinese characters on some of the coins, and she even gives you details on not only like what the animals are, but what the maximums mean. So it's so good. It's so good. I love it so much. Here we have a gecko for the Four of Coins. And we have the Five of Coins. We have the Six of Coins, the Seven of Coins, the Eight of Coins, the 9, the 10, and then ready for our page? Ooh, we get this crocodile man in a hat with his beautiful boots. Oh, I love him so much. And then we have our Knight of Coins. And here we are with our dragon protectors. So moving along to the suit of wands, which are ruled by the firebirds. So we have our ace, our 2, our 3, our 4 of Wands, 5, 6, a 7, the 8 of Wands, the 9 of Wands, the 10, and ready for our hybrid? Oh, there he is! It's our harpy for our Page of Wands, the Knight of Wands, and then here we have our Phoenix Guardians and their instruments. I think she meant in the guidebook that this whole suit, there's a genre of traditional Chinese painting that's just called like flowers and birds. And so she was very much inspired by that collection, that kind of genre of art. And so for the last suit, we have the cats. And so for 1 through 10, we get house cats, and then we get some ocelots and some tigers. So here's our Ace of Swords, and I feel like cats often get associated with wands just because there's a cat in the Queen of Wands, but I feel like cats are clever. They're very swordsy. This picture is probably my least favorite in the deck if I had to choose one, but that's just because it's hard for me to see a cat in distress, not because it's a beautiful image, but oh, this poor kitty. We have the 4 of Swords, we have the 5 of Swords, and to me, I read this image not as 5 different cats, but as 5 of the same cats, but just in different positions of the kind of like, martial arts training montage. Like this is a series of movements that make up this particular like sequence, right? I don't know. I love it. I love it a lot. And then we have the 6 of Swords, and I think I remember in the recording she talked about her own cat makes a cameo, and I think this might be her cat. I could be wrong, but it's not actually written into the guidebook or anything, but that was just a little bit of trivia. And I love, I of all people love, you've got to have a kitty companion, so I'm glad that that companion made it into this deck. Now we have our 8 of Swords, our 9 of Swords, and our 10 of Swords, which just become 10 kitty claws. And then ready for our hybrid. Oh, there he is! This is our Ocelot Warrior. Oh, I love them so much. And then we have our Knight of Swords. And then we have our Guardians, the White Tiger. So that is a walkthrough of this deck. That's everybody. I hope you've enjoyed this. I gotta say, guys, I think that this is one of my, I think this is already, I know the year's still kind of young in its first, half, but I think this is one of my favorite decks of the year. I think it's a really important deck. I think it's a beautiful deck, and it's a tragedy that, I don't know, there was a tag going around that was like my top mass market decks, and this is a top tier mass market deck. I think I got it on Amazon for just under $30. And the components are great. It's got, as I mentioned already, it's got a really nice thick cardstock. The cards are going to hold up really, really well. And I think it's, I'm so glad that more creators from different perspectives are kind of being given this platform. And I'm here for the queer trickster, queering Buddhism, like playing with tropes. And it's so good. It's so beautiful. I hope you guys agree. But that's all for now. Thank you for joining me. I'll see you all next time. Bye for now.